Right, you ready for the patch notes? Let's have a patch notes discussion on the upcoming stuff. There's two different ones I want to look at. First is the... well, there's a normal one where they talk about all the upcoming stuff. The first one I want to look at, though, is this one, which is about the hardware refresh, the brand new servers that are coming for PCEU. PCNA has already added their servers, and the latest we heard about this is the new servers were coming in March. And they did recently put out a graphic showing their Mid-Year Mayhem, or White Strikes Mayhem, the PvP event, would be happening in March as well. But then during the reveal stream for Necrom, it disappeared, and they did say that they've had to change it, so this is an update on that. So, are you ready? Are you ready? I'd like to give everyone an update. This is from Matt Ferro, who you may have seen during the Bethesda stream. An update on the server hardware refresh, where we are completely replacing hardware in our North American and European data centers. If you remember, I gave an update late last year with a timeline for our European data center refresh. Now that we are starting the work in earnest, I have a few updates to share. Be ready, Froggy! You'll see it okay. We are running 1 or 2 weeks behind schedule because of shipping slowdowns. This is entirely out of our control, and I apologize for it. This 2-week delay puts the refresh right on top of our March launch of Update 37, which for obvious reasons we don't want to schedule simultaneously. So the new date for PCEU getting new hardware will be in early April, and PlayStation EU should follow shortly after. In order to begin prepping for this work, we're scheduling a maintenance on all EU realms that will occur on February 7th. How you doing, Froggy? So, they had a delay, which would have put it, would have put the update during the new patch, and it would have been too much, so they didn't want to do it, so they've delayed it till early April. So they've delayed it a couple of weeks, or probably like a month at the most, which I think is fine. Interestingly, they say PlayStation EU is coming shortly after. What about Xbox? Is Xbox not getting a hardware refresh anytime soon? Just like the PCNA refresh that occurred mid last year, expect about a 14-hour downtime when the actual cutover happens. We'll keep you posted as to specific day and times. So that's going to be a day where I'm not playing ESO, huh? We'll be streaming something else on that day. Early April. The March/April ESO timeframe is always very busy. We have a lot of events and almost always have a major update. Because of this, we need to move some events around on the calendar to give the infrastructure team some clear air to do the maintenance without impacting on any ongoing events. We're moving White Strikes Mayhem to later in the year to ensure the data center hardware refresh is complete before we hold the event. We still intend to have 2 White Strikes Mayhem, thank God, since we'll be moving an event that grants event tickets out of Q1, January to March, and we want everyone to be able to get the Q1 morphing collectible, Passion's Muse personality. We make the Q1 fragments available Q2. The amount of event tickets you can earn for the year will not change because of the shift, as we've done in previous years, or morphic collectibles, blah, 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 blah. They haven't put a specific date on when the White Strikes will be coming, though, huh? Just that there still will be 2. But we just don't know specifically when. We usually don't find out until, like, right before anyway. Okay. So, long story short, folks, any PvPers, White Strikes Mayhem was originally going to be March. They've had to delay it because I think they wanted to get the new servers in and ready before PvP kicks off, because, you know, PvP currently has the worst performance out of all the areas in the game. So, understandably, they want the new servers in time. But God, I can't wait for that. It's going to be so good. White Strikes Mayhem event with new servers. What more could you want? That's it for now. Okay. So, yeah, they've just put a little delay on the servers. That's fine. We've waited this long. We could wait a little bit longer. Are people upset? God knows. Well, there you go. Anybody very upset by the delay? To be honest, I thought it was probably coming anyway. Like, the March time frame they gave was always just an estimate anyway, so... yeah. We thought it could be delayed. Right, let's get into the proper patch notes. Let's go. Are we ready? Very upset. You're big PvP, Froggy. Right, this is the big one. This is the... everything that came out on the PTS this week is in this patch notes. When I talk about this, though, I'm going to be specifically looking at it from a PvP standpoint. You know, all the new sets, all the gear sets they've changed, all the skills they've changed. My head just goes to PvP first because I like PvP the most. I don't know that much about PvE. I mean, you know, of course I play it, but... yeah, so I'm going to be looking at all this from a PvP perspective, just so you know beforehand. Let's have a look. Welcome to the Elder Scrolls Online Vision 8.3.0 and the beginning of the Shadow over Morrowind adventure. It's very exciting. This DLC features 2 challenging new 4-player PvE dungeons. In Bal Sonar, you'll help the Psijic Order investigate and contain a strange power emanating from a mysterious township. In Scrivener's Hall, you'll fight your way through the twisted acolytes of the Scribes of Mora and confront their villainous new leader, Valina. Completing these dungeons also gives you the chance at obtaining a number of new item sets, collectibles, achievements, and more. That's what we like. As part of the free base game update, we've added 3 new PvP item sets. Ew! They are earned and rewards of the worthy, in addition to new Alliance emblem face markings. They were talking about those in the dev stream, right? Are they just going to be like the Daggerfall or the Ebonheart logo on your face? Is that just what that's going to be? There are several housing quality of life improvements and new furnishings, plus a remarkable new house for you to test during the PTS cycle. We've also added screen narration to the accessibility settings, that's genius, which does require accessibility mode to be enabled. Many daily and weekly timers have also been aligned to the same time as the daily login reward, details on which are affected and detailed in the patch notes below. They've changed the weekly time, it's interesting. We've copied all PCNA characters for this week's patch, which is probably, oh my god. Okay, right, so look, we got the new dungeons, the sets, all the new stuff. More to the worthy stuff, more new stuff. Oh, they added the prologue quest, very cool. Known issues, and then all the combat changes to abilities and item sets. Right. 2 new dungeons. Bal Sonar. I probably won't read through these, but we know what they are. Bal Sonar and Scrivener's Hall. Check out the Bethesda streams if you want a closer look at these. You can play them during the PTS as well. Both dungeons have a normal version and a veteran version and a hard mode. Unique item sets and achievements. A unique skin, memento, tool, several titles, and unique housing items. Very cool. Right, let's look at these sets. Bal Sonar, you can get Right Master's Bond, which is a light set. 2 pieces Magicka Recovery. 3 pieces Healing Done. 4 pieces Maximum Magicka. And the 5-piece. When healing an ally within 12 meters with a direct heal, creates a 15-meter tether between you for 10 seconds. This effect can occur once every 15 seconds. You and allies touching the tether are healed every second, scaling off your higher of your max magicka or stamina. If your ally is overhealed by the tether, they gain minor heroism. Interesting. So when you heal someone, you get a tether, as long as you're within 12 meters, and then anybody touching the tether, you or allies touching the tether are healed every second. Does that mean the person who's healed, it scales off their magic or stamina? No, surely not, right? Surely the person using it. Interesting. Probably not good in PvP, and I mean, that might be a good ball group set. That might be a very good ball group set. if they're all like in one tiny area running around and they're all tethered to each other, gaining an ultimate as well, because usually that's how a ball group works, right? They heal each other and run around until they get their ultimates, and then they turn around and dump them all at the same time. So that might be good for that. Nyx's Hounds, this is a medium set, adds a lot of damage. Completing a fully charged heavy attack applies major cowardice to your target for 1 second per 1,000 weapon damage you have, lowering their weapon and spell damage by 430. You then gain major courage, increasing your weapon and spell damage. Interesting. That's a super strong debuff and a super strong buff. But if you've only got 5,000 damage, then that's only lasted 5 seconds, huh? Could occur every 12 seconds. What's the highest weapon damage you can get? Can you get like 9,000 weapon damage and then heavy attack and then have like 9-10 seconds worth of... Mind you, how do you get your weapon damage that high if you don't have major courage? Because this will proc your major courage. Hey Ginger, how you doing? I'm doing good, thank you. We're just looking through all the new PTS stuff and the new gear that's coming up. Yeah, for PvP, I don't think that's gonna be that good. I would mainly use it to debuff them, but. Right, the heavy set, Talvani Enforcer. Stamina Magicka health. While bracing, increase your Magicka recovery by 369. Nice. While you are not bracing, increase your stamina recovery. Interesting. 369 is quite a lot of recovery. That sounds quite helpful. I don't know if I would take it over something else, though. Yeah, tanky block build. Rocks of the Warped, the Monster Mask. The one piece adds Tri Recovery. Each second during combat, gain a stack of Dark Light, up to 30 stacks max. Each stack of Dark Light increases your stamina recovery, magic recovery, and health recovery by 8. Each second you are out of combat. Interesting. Wait, up to 30 stacks just being in combat. And each stack adds 8, so what's that? 240 recovery overall if you get all 30 stacks? I mean, if you want, again, for PvP, if you want a recovery monster set, you just go Engine Guardian, right? Because then you can also hide behind the little Engine Guardian dude who spawns, and he gives you a huge amount of recovery. So I don't know why you would take this one over that one, but... What's that mythic that gives you max stats when you stay in combat as well? Death Dealer's Fate, is that the one? That'd be an interesting combo to try out. Right, Scrivener's Hall. We have Rune Carver's Blaze. Weapon and spell damage, penetration, and your damage over time effects deal an additional flame damage on the 3rd damage tick. This damage scales off your weapon and spell damage and always applies the burning status effect. So just a PvE set, I would not use that in PvP at all. Additional flame, how much additional flame damage? That's the question. On every 3rd tick. So if you have a skill that only ticks every 2 seconds, then that won't be as good. And so, wait, is it every damage over time? Now I'm thinking about a dot build where I'm sticking like 5 different dots on somebody, and then each one is getting an additional flame tick as well. Interesting. Again, for PvP, I mean, like, I don't know if it would be super helpful just because burst is always king in PvP. Even in this, like, super tanky meta. But yeah. Apocryphal Inspiration. I can never say the name of that realm. Crit chance, recovery, weapon and spell damage. You and group members within 28 meters of you gain major fortitude, major intellect, and major endurance, increasing your health, magicka, and stam recovery. You just get it. That could be handy. I mean, like, you can get these just by using, like, a tripod, right? But, I mean, like, if you could... I mean, it would free everybody up to use a different potion. Could be handy. Abyssal Brace. Stamina. Health. And then the 5 pieces health. And then while you are bracing, you and group members within 12 meters gain minor evasion. Evasion is slept on in PvP, I think. I think it's a very good buff, and not many people use it. There's a lot of AoE going on in PvP that people don't realize. I talk about Dawnbreaker a lot, right? Dawnbreaker counts as area of effect, right? So imagine taking 10% less damage from Dawnbreakers. And if you can get major evasion as well, that's 30% less damage. Mind you, it's only when you're bracing, though. I put it this way, I would much rather run a build, maybe this is personal preference, but I would much rather run a build with Gaze of Sithis where I didn't have to block than one where I relied on a set where I was blocking. Hey Melon, how you doing? Ozan? How the hell do you say that? The Inferno. Recovery and overhealing yourself for an ally grants armor every 1 second. Healing yourself for an ally grants them minor vitality. Put a heal over time on you, and every time you overheal, you get the armor. That's hard to keep up, though. Interesting. I would like to try that out. Right. That's the new armor sets that you get from the dungeons. Very cool. I'm actually kind of curious. I kind of want to try this one out with something. I want to make a wacky build with a rude carver's blaze. Hey Vixen, how's it going? We're looking through the patch notes, by the way, folks. This is what came out on the PTS this week. Do I have drops in my stream? I don't think I have drops in my stream, do I? I did over the weekend, but is that not just for stream team members now? I don't actually know. I can't even tell. Right. New emotes. The Sailor's Sextet can be obtained by completing Fate's Secrets achievement. The Lost in the Woods emote. Get those achievements. There's mementos. Very cool. A new skin. The Taskmaster's Banner skin. And you die. Hey. Furnishing I know nothing about. But there's new furnishing there if you guys are interested in furnishing. There's a Dark Elf Archway and a Craglorn Podium. Other ESO streamers have dropped some? Yeah, is it not just stream team members? I don't know. Is anybody earning drops here right now? I'm not part of an ESO stream team. But who knows? They might be on, but I don't want to put it in my title. Just in case they're not. When can we get a true purple dye? I'm having issues finding a good purple for my sock. I have a pet peeve with dyes in this game because they never look like what you want them to look like. And then they look different on every armor and it does my head in. New achievements. Get achievements. Right. There are weekly and daily reset timers. Many daily timers have been aligned to the same time as the daily login rewards. 3 AM UTC for European servers and 10 AM UTC for North American servers. I thought that's what it was anyway. I guess not. Activity finders first of the day participations and wins. Daily enlightenment experience gains. Daily quests and endeavors. Daily writs and harness. What time is 3 AM UTC? I should really learn time zones. 2 a.m. for you. Did they just move it back an hour then? Because I thought it was... I don't know. Is it? I don't know. I said we just had daylight savings, and it's just it's all over the place. Crafting Howling Rank 3 passes, which used to send 12 hours after the last one, will now send mail daily with double materials. 3 a.m. for you. I am okay. GMT and UTC are in line at the moment. Okay, good to know. I never bothered to keep a track of it. So that means when I'm late night gaming, I can do some dailies and then immediately do them again at 3 a.m. New rewards of the worthy. It's what we wanted to see. Snake in the Stars. Add magic recovery at max damage. Applying a major or minor debuff to an enemy applies star venom to them for 6 seconds. This effect can occur once every 12 seconds. Whenever an enemy with star venom is healed, they take oblivion damage up to once per second. An enemy can only be affected by 1 instance of star venom at a time. Applying a major or minor debuff, easy enough to do on an enemy player. Whenever an enemy is healed every second, up to once per second, they take oblivion damage. So oblivion damage can't be altered in any way, right? Hey Bex, how's it going? Again, I feel like it's good, but in this current meta, I don't think you're gonna make use of that. I don't think you're gonna make use of that. Like, I'd much rather take something else. Thanks for the lurk, Vixen. Shell Splitter. Oh, penetration. When an enemy blocks one of your attacks, increase your offensive penetration by 631 for 5 seconds. Stack up to 20 times. So what's that? 12,000 penetration? If they block 20 attacks within 5 seconds? That's a bit of a big ask. Oh, you can only gain 1 every 0.5 seconds. Wait, that means then you can... Wait, what? Wait. If you only get the penetration for 5 seconds and you can only gain a stack every 0.5 seconds, that means you can only get 10 stacks. But this can stack up to 20 times. Right? Am I crazy? Natch Potes. If it can only happen every 0.5 seconds, then each second I get 2 stacks. If they're blocking. So after 5 seconds, I've got 10 stacks, and then the first one runs out. Am I wrong? Is that... I don't know. To be honest, I swear there's a couple of sets in the game that are like this that I didn't understand. I must be thinking about it wrong. There's a couple of sets in the game that are like, hey, you can stack this once every second, but you can stack 50 stacks, but they reset after 4 seconds. I'm like, well, how do you stack 50 stacks in 4 seconds before they start running out? Like, I don't know. I don't get how that works. I don't get how that works. Judgment of Akatosh. This is a heavy set. You get damage, you get health, and a 5-piece you get armor. And when you deal direct damage with a blink, charge, leap, teleport, or pull ability, another one of these, you distort time on your enemy. After 3 seconds, the enemy bursts with temporal energy, reducing the movement speed of all enemies within 12 meters by 70% for 6 seconds, and stunning them for 3 seconds. This effect can be blocked. I would not use that in PvP. You reduce the movement speed for 6 seconds, and you stun them for 3 seconds. Does it mean when, let's say you hit them with a charge, does that mean if they block the charge? Or, yeah, it must be, right? Hey RGA, the 5-second cooldown will refresh with every addition. Is that what it is? Wait, so let's say somebody blocks an attack and I get penetration for 5 seconds, and then 3 seconds go by and they block another one. I'll have 2 stacks, but it'll be 5 seconds again. Okay, I was curious how this worked. Same as, yeah, Zogvins is the other one I was thinking about, actually. Yeah. Okay. I was always confused by the way they phrased that. Okay, it resets the timer then. Okay. That makes sense. Still not sure I would use that set in PvP. Mind you, there's some new sets that you get buffs while blocking, so there might be a lot of people blocking this next patch, but we'll see. Okay, yeah, thank you for that one. I was confused. There's a couple of these kinds of sets, right, that... Interesting. Hey! We get new Alliance face emblems. I can't wait to get Daggerfall Covenant tattooed on my face. And a new home! Fogbreak Lighthouse? The cozy life of a lighthouse keeper awaits any who claim Fogbreak as a home. I get to live as my all-time dream where I am grouchy and old and live alone in a lighthouse. This welcome lighthouse includes a large undercroft, stunning views of the sea, a beacon to help ships navigate dangerous waters, and plenty of outdoor space to savor. Did you guys see that one in the dev stream? It did look quite nice. It's a high-hour lighthouse. It's very cool. Or we get all these new furnishings. Look at them. They're beautiful. I really need to start doing some furnishing, huh? Housing quality of life improvements. You guys will be able to tell me more about this, I think. Added additional filters to the placement and retrieval tabs of the housing editor. I wish they added more filters to the bank as well. Whether the placed item is coming from your bank, inventory, house storage, or collectibles. Whether the furnishing is bound or unbound, or the limit type. Did they say how much it costs out of curiosity? They did not, no. They didn't say. While in combat, with at least one training dummy, the show housing panel keybind now changes to reset the training dummy. That is a thing. I can't speak. Now changes to reset training dummies, which allows you to easily reset all training dummies you're in combat with. Excellent. Sometimes when you're testing like damage and stuff, and you want to reset the dummies, and you have to wait for it to be out of combat and stuff, now you can just do it with a button. Very good. The home's current occupants are now listed in the settings section of the housing editor. You can also kick occupants out of your home from this menu if they've overstayed their welcome. I do that with my real home. The home's occupants are notified when people enter or depart the home. New interface option allows you to hide the house tracker when in the home. Blah, 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 blah. Very good. That's good stuff, though. We're using add-ons for stuff like that. I feel like eventually we'll get to a point where add-ons aren't needed at all, right? And we'll just have a easy-to-play, fun game. We won't need add-ons for quality of life improvements. Screen narration is an incredible addition. I am all about that. More accessibility. Software occlusion culling. Software occlusion culling is now available as an optional graphics optimization. Enable this feature will prevent the game client from performing rendering calculations for objects that are completely hidden from view by other objects. Doing so can provide a performance boost at the cost of additional memory usage. You can test this feature by adding the following line to your user setting text file. Ooh. It's in beta. I hadn't I done that with reset dummies and tell me when people came into my house. There you go. Now it's just in the game. I'm a bit sick, sorry guys. That's cool. Prologue quest for Necrom. I usually don't do that until it's like almost time. But yeah. Character templates for the PTS. Companions currently have VO lines about dragons when referring to the Cartercleps in Scrivener's Hall. Combat and gameplay. There is currently an issue with the concentrated barrier passive not functioning properly in some cases with the new rules to block and bar swap. Oh, it's in the process of being fixed. Oh yeah, they said on the stream that they've changed how you can bar swap. You can keep your block up now. Right, here we go. Here's the big one. What is in my throat? Ugh. Right. While this first update of the year has quite a few bug fixes and minor tweaks, our main focus was on some iterative work from update 35 and some long time coming reworks to abilities or traits that have been languishing in weird states of balance for a while. This update is more targeted with its adjustments rather than widespread, following through with some remnant work we've hinted at in the past. The large, widespread adjustment in this update is some iterative work on Update 35's adjustment to light attacks. Here we go again. One of our main goals in Update 35 was to reduce the impact of light attack weaving in terms of high-end damage production, where it was still a vital tool to incorporate. People hated Update 35, do you remember that? It was an uproar because they nerfed light weaving a bit or made light weaving less essential, while simultaneously trying to shorten the delta between those who try and engage with it and those who are masters of it. Through the toils of that update, we learned a lot, but had to make some compromises that hurt our overall goals, where the end result was just a flat nerf to light weaving in general. Okay, they've changed light attacks. In this update, we're trying to keep the power of light attacks within a 5% deviation at their highest production in an optimized build, while drastically increasing their performance for players who aren't super optimized. We're also implementing a new feature on all damaging light attacks, where their scaling calculations of how they derive their damage will be inflated compared to before, with a cap in how much they can reach with base stats such as weapon or spell damage or magicka and stamina. Are we keeping up? Are we following? This base damage cap will be 3,850 for melee attacks and 90% of that for ranged attacks, which is within 100 to 200 damage deviation from the base damage of some of the highest passes we're seeing in the game. Note that this base damage cap is not a cap in terms of how much damage they can do in general. The number is purely how much the damage can reach with your stats, such as weapon or spell damage. This base damage cap will then feed into the rest of the combat calculation system with things such as crit bonuses, damage bonuses, mitigation, and so on, so that 3,850 can still return a much higher value in actual combat situations. So what they're saying is the higher your damage is, the lower your light attack will hit for. So if you don't have a optimized build, is that what they're saying? If you don't have a fully optimized build, you'll do better with light attacks? Is that what they're saying? After going over the data that started to come with update 35 and 36, we're confident that this functionality will help inject a little power to the players who struggle to perfectly weave by inflating their damage values a bit, while not having too much of an impact on the high-end ceiling, so everyone's DPS can either go up or stay around the same as it was from previous updates. We'll be keeping a close eye on this change. We're ready to adjust or revert to the update 35 model if it ends up creating too many issues, so please make sure to provide feedback. I feel like the whole thing's getting too complicated, right? Like, it's just... I've got 8,000 hours in this game, and I can't imagine trying to explain this to somebody who's just started. Like, I barely understand it myself. Like, the whole thing's getting too complicated. So, yeah, I think what they now mean is there'll be a cap on the amount of damage you can do with light attacks. Which means if you have a highly optimized build, your light attacks won't be doing as much damage. Where if you have a lower, not quite optimized build, your light attacks will be doing higher, which means you won't have to rely on them as much because you can just throw a few in. You know, throw a few light attacks in and you'll be doing almost the same amount of damage as somebody who's light weaving to perfection. Right? You could argue that if your light attack damage is higher when you don't have an optimized build, that you're more relying on light weaving. It's all very confusing. Gonna get about it wrong again, because it basically, as far as I understand your gear, skills, and CP, the less your light attack matters. How many efforts do people are... Yeah. Who have low light attacks are going to get to the cap if they can't even get a high to start with. Yeah, like how is this gonna work? People to switch to medium wave? See, I don't know, like, I think the people who are struggling to light attack, they either, you know, they either can't for accessibility reasons, which is fair enough, or they don't care enough to learn. And if they don't care enough to learn, they're not going to care enough about this either. And they don't care enough about optimizing their build to be able to do that content. So it all feels like a... I don't know, like, I'm so... I don't know. How will they get the best in slot gear and high CP faster if they can't even get high DPS? So yeah, what they're saying is, like, your light attacks will be making up for your lacking in damage, right? If you don't have a good build. But to me, that just sounds like somebody without a good build needs to use light attacks more, therefore they need to weave more. I'd be interested to test this to see what, like... I want to see what somebody can pass with, like, green gear and then just upgrade all that gear to gold and then see what they can pass with again. Yeah, so, like, they're saying if you don't have a good build, then your light attacks will do more damage, therefore it would make up for your lack in damage from the build. But I don't think the people with bad builds are light attacking anyway. like they're not light weaving. So how can you make up for the damage in light weaving by making them light weave when they're not light weaving? I get where they're going. It just means that every so often these people do light attack. It'd be more beneficial for them. But like at the same time, I mean, as a PvP player, light weaving isn't the most super important thing in the world. I mean, you still do it, but I hate light weaving anyway. I think light weaving should be removed from the game entirely. I don't like it. I hate having to left click every time I use a skill. My NA character be doing better. Yeah, I kind of want to see what some other people think of this who are way better at PvE than I am. Like, people are doing endgame trials. What do they think about this? Apparently their damage is going to stay the same. But people who are struggling to do endgame trials are now going to get more damage. Apparently. See, I feel like you should just teach people how to optimize a build. There should be some in-game tutorial or something on how to, you know, and then light attack weaving wouldn't even be important anyway. I don't know. Like, I don't even care about teaching people to light attack, you know. Some people just aren't gonna light attack. Just teach people to build their builds properly. I wonder how many people play this game and don't even know about, like, set bonuses. Could ask my friends at Trifecta people. Yeah. Let me know what they say. I'm actually very curious. Like, does that mean... It also does mean that, like, PvP-wise, if I have a fully optimized PvP build, I'll be doing less damage with my light attacks against other players. Could there be an in-class guide? Yeah, like, all the only tutorials they've got in this game are, like... Sorry, get rid of this. Are, like, the very beginning tutorial, and then, like, a skill advisor, right? And then, like, that's it. And then they've got a, like... They've got a... Like, a glossary of, like, what everything means. But, like, that's about it. There's a pop-up for set bonuses when you start playing, but it pops up once, and I'm sure most people... Is there really? I don't even remember seeing that pop up for set bonuses. Put it this way, I've seen my dad play this game, and my dad golded out a helmet because it looked cool, and it wasn't even part of a set. Outside of this adjustment, we have some usual balance tweaks for sets and abilities, but two in particular stand out. First, we've reworked Harmony trait to no longer be burst oriented, and more about what the trait's name and gameplay tries to incentivize: sustain and group coordination. This trait will now simply grant a chunk of health, magicka, and stamina anytime you activate a synergy, similar to the Undaunted Metal bonus. Okay. It's like a tripod whenever you use a synergy. Another larger rework is for the infamous Mist form in the Vampire skill line. As a result of all the back and forth issues and balance changes we've seen with the skill's evolution through the game's history, with this rework, we try to go back to the drawing board about what the fantasy and identity of the skill is trying to evoke, which is meant to be the iconic feeling of blinking into mist and avoiding attacks, dashing around from foe to foe and taking them down or avoiding damage in the process. In this update, Mist Form is no longer a toggle effect or one that reduces your damage while active or causing you to become immune to crowd control. Instead, it focuses on a quick and liberating movement, causing you to quickly travel to your targeted location as a gap closer while simultaneously avoiding incoming projectiles while you do so. So Mist Form is now the Arcanist teleport skill. That's all I'm getting from that. That's all I'm hearing. You quickly travel to your targeted location as a gap closer? That sounds like the Arcanist teleport skill that they showed off. I've dropped a few frames again, guys. I'm sorry about that. Did they make the Humvee change to cut down on ball group AoE? Maybe. I feel like none of these changes are because of PvP though. from what I've read so far. Except for maybe Mistform. Thank you, Ballad. Another area to note in some quality of life updates to abilities and functionalities for those who are the vanguard of combat, the lifeblood of success or failure. Tanks! In this update, we've made 3 changes that should hopefully make those holding the line feel more empowered to do so. First, block will no longer temporarily drop while bar swapping and instead will stay active throughout. That's good. It's a good change. Which should help reduce those moments in combat where you get clobbered by a heavy attack while trying to prepare yourself. The second is that Taunt Immunity, or over-taunting, will now be harder to reach. It will take 5 applications of a taunt between 2 members in total before reaching, up from 3, which should give a bit more breathing. Is over-taunting like you taunt them too much and then just the taunt wears off and they go and attack somebody else? Is that what that is? Last but not least is a new iteration of the soft taunt system that pulls abilities such as Fiery Grip or Silver Leash had. Instead of soft taunting enemies for 5 seconds like they did in the past, they will now attempt to normally taunt an enemy that is not already taunted. It is our hope that this iteration helps keep these abilities available to use as a tank or any other role for support, where tanks can control enemies more easily at the start of an engagement, while other roles can still use the skill for grouping up foes if their tank has already corralled enemy. Okay, so now these only taunt people who haven't been taunted. Interesting. You can't grab taunt back for a while, which is going to be messy, yeah. This will also apply to any single target application pull interaction, including item sets. Before you ask, though, area of effect pulls like Dark Convergence, Rust of Agony, or Void Bash will not be affected by the changes. Man, I'm getting sick. That's good for tanks. You're welcome, Bex. You got some good changes. Right, we got some skill changes. Small tweak to physical and spell harm jewelry glyphs. Okay. Right, here we go. Combat and abilities. Fixed an issue where stun from successful sneak attacks could trigger off-triggered events, such as item sets. Fixed an issue where you could bash and light attack simultaneously while using the gamepad. Unacceptable. Fixed an issue where ground targeted spells were cancelled with a light attack during the targeting phase when using a gamepad. When attempting to light or heavy attack on gamepad with a ground targeted reticle active, you will now confirm the ability activate instead, making these skills easier to use. Oh, that's way better. Fixed an issue where block would not cancel sprint. Updated tooltips for following player passives to properly mention their scaling effects, arming you with vital combat information. For banning light blood medic, try sure. This passive now only deals magic damage rather than magic or physical. Increase the scaling of all weapon light attacks by 50% and werewolf light attacks by 20%, and introduce a stat scaling limit on these attacks so they stop benefiting from weapon and spell damage and magicka or stamina after reaching 3,850 damage for weapons. Like 3,850 weapon damage is the cutoff. So like you stop getting stronger light attacks after 3,850 damage. It's kind of low. There's people in like getting like 7,000 weapon damage, right? The limit is unaffected by bonuses to damage such as crit strikes, berserk, or vulnerability. Oh my god, math. Right, we're ready. To further explain what's happening with these attacks, let's create an example experience with everyone's favorite subject. Math. Let's say you have a character that has 6,000 weapon or spell damage and 33,000 magicka or stamina. In update 35 and 6, Your light attacks will take 35% of your weapon and spell, and 33% repeating of your magicka and stamina on a melee attack, and 90% of those values for a ranged version. Oh, we keep it up. In this example, before any bonuses or multipliers, their base damage would be 3,200 damage. In update 37, the change would be seen as reaching 3,850, as the stat addition would be 6,000 times 0.525. Moving on. I'm an engineer, by the way. I'm an engineer. I like math. Not in my Elder Scrolls. Fix numerous issues where attacks were missing invisible targets they should not have been. Oh no. Bar swapping while you're actively bracing still means you brace. Excellent. Where's all the good stuff? Made some adjustments to taunt sourced from player abilities. Could I just make a diagram, please? Yeah, I mean, like... I mean, just so confusing. Does it mean like 3,850 on damage on the light attack, or 3,850 weapon damage? Like, you get to that and then it caps. The base damage stat cap would kick in. Keep in mind that this does not impact the damage of these values. I don't even care, I've just got a light attack. Buffs and debuffs. Added 2 new help entries under the combat header to explain named buffs and debuffs in the major and minor system. I need other heads to discuss it. You really don't get that complicated in PvP, it's just hit people with a hammer. It's easy. Right, Dragon Knight. Empowering Chains has been changed to Chains of Devastation. This morph now grants Major Berserk for 10 seconds? Rather than Empower, as Molten Armaments already grants it in a much more effective way. As such, this morph was renamed to better denote its effects. Major Berserk is a strong buff. Okay. I was hoping DK was gonna get nerfed a little, but that's a DK PvP buff right there. Lava Whip. Fix an issue where this morph could fail to activate many conditional requirements that stated when casting an ability that costs magical or stamina. Oh. Because it cost both, it wasn't proccing those things. Note that conditional requirements that require only a stamina ability specifically will still not fire. This ability is predominantly magicka orientated. But it costs... Okay. That's all the changes for Dragon Knight. Fiery Grip and Lava Whip. This is not looking good for PvP. Yeah, that's confused me. Gravelord, Skeletal Mage, Skeletal Archer Morph. Fix an issue where the damage boost from this morph would fail to apply. That's good. Grave Robber. Reduce the damage of this synergy by approximately 47% to ensure it is of similar power to other synergies of its ilk, such as Conduit or Combustion. Reduce the damage of the synergy. Bone Tyrant. Death Gleaning. This passive now restores magicka and stamina when an enemy nearby dies. Oh, they buffed the restorative. For Masters of Death, necromancers can often find themselves out of fuel even when there are corpses littering the battlefield. To try and remedy this without tipping the scales too far in areas where necromancy is already doing well, we're increasing these bonuses by a decent amount. Did they just say that the most obviously hybrid skill in the game is actually a Magicka ability despite also costing stamina? That is exactly what they just said, yes. Fixed an issue where this morph could fail to activate many conditional requirements that stated when casting an ability that costs Magicka or stamina. Note that conditional requirements that require only a stamina ability specifically will still not fire, as this ability is predominantly Magicka orientated. In other words, we couldn't get it to work for both, so we've had to make it Magicka. So in other words, it wasn't working by proccing Magicka skills or stamina skills. We made it work for proccing Magicka stuff, but we can't get it to work for proccing stamina stuff. So like that won't proc Vadashran. So if you use the Vadashran two-hand, each time you use the stamina skill, it will give you a stack of Vadashran. Lava Whip, sorry, Molten Whip won't do that. Okay. Grave Robber nerf? I forget which one that is. I'm not that much clued up on Necromancer. It's just the circle of gravestones, right? And then you... Is that the morph that lets you use your own synergy? So here's the one with the gravestones. Yeah, because there's two morphs. One that lets you use your own synergy, and then the other one. So using your own synergy... Man, that used to be strong. Right, Sorcerer. Buffs, right? Conjured Ward. Increase the damage shield by 10%. Nice. Increase the max health cap of these abilities to 55%, up from 50. Okay. This ability and its morphs now dynamically scale between the higher of your max health or Magicka rather than only Magicka. Okay. Hardened Ward. Increase the damage shield size of this morph by 7% and increase the max health cap to 72 from 60. So you'll get a bigger shield. Empowered Ward has changed to Regenerative Ward. So you don't get confused because you don't get empowered. Fair enough. Shields are the primary defense identity for the Sorcerer class. Not in PvP, they're not. Since the balance adjustments to shields in years past, the class has struggled a little bit to keep up defensively in ways that help reinforce this feeling. We're making a targeted adjustment to try and help their core class shield to make them stand out above others, while avoiding the concerns of shield stacking in years past. We're hoping this also helps the class's kill potential go up a little in PvP environments, where they don't have to spend as much time recasting shields and heals to avoid death, and they can spend an extra second or so spell slinging on the offensive. We're also hoping that dynamic scaling of Magicka or health will help out those few sorcerer tanks out there that have a shinier tool in their kit. Okay. Might see a few more Magicka sorcs about. Familiar? They fixed the familiar, sure. Mage's Fury. Increase the size of the area of effect portion of this ability up by 1 meter. Fix an issue where the execute damage from these abilities were not properly labeled as an execute. Trying to build a Necro Bomber? Not anymore, you're not, Piper. Not anymore, you're not. This morph now deals its execute damage to all targets nearby rather than dealing an initial hit and a small amount to... Okay, that's a bit of a buff. 129% damage increase. Overload. Fix an issue where this ultimate and its morphs would not remove themselves when heavy attacking. Okay. So they made Sorc a bit stronger. Templar. They've made Templar stronger, right? Surely. Surely! Adric's Spear. Radial Sweep. Empowering Sweep has been changed to Everlasting Sweep. Increase the duration of the pulsing damage over time to 10 seconds at base, up from 6. This morph no longer grants it power, as Solar Flare and its morphs already grant this buff. Okay. But in PvP, you'd always take the other morph anyway, right? Because it does more damage to people in front of you. Sure. Is that it for Templar? Oh my god. Backlash. Fixed an issue where his ability and the Purifying Light morph were considered magical melee damage rather than magical range damage. The power of the light was already considered martial range damage and has not changed. Living Dark. Fix an issue where this ability's visuals could cause you to appear invisible in some cases. Templar's so bad. Templar's so bad. Oh my lord. I was really hoping. It was like in update 35 they nerfed jabs. And then in update 36 they nerfed Backlash. Or Power of the Light. It's like the two main Templar skills they nerfed. Why didn't you give them anything? They're so bad. I have spent months trying to come up with a fun Templar build that's off meta, because if you don't know me, I make off meta builds. I don't like running the meta for PvP. It's boring. That's why I like PvP, because you can use different sets, right? But I can't do it. Nothing works on Templar except the meta. Literally nothing. I can't get it to work on anything. It's so bad. Well, that sucks. Templar mains have got it bad for another few months at least. Warden. Petting Dive. This morph no longer requires the enemy to not be off balance for the damage over time to apply, and will now apply anytime it deals damage. Wait, was it broken and not doing that, or is it always... It only did damage over time if they were off balance? So that's a buff to Warden. Warden needs more buffs. Crystal Shield. This ability and the Shimmering Shield morph now grant 2 ultimate when the shield takes damage. Rather than restoring Magicka equal to 22% of the ability's cost. Increase the cost to Crystal Shield, sure. Reduce the shield strength of this ability. Oh wow, they reduce it by 1/3, okay. Crystal Slab. This morph no longer grants Magicka or the new ultimate restore when the shield takes damage in exchange for the damage done in stun. This morph does retain the original size of the damage shield. Currently this ability and its morphs were enabling too much defensive power for the Warden against ranged opponents, while simultaneously allowing them to keep the ability up with next to no cost. In order to peel back some of the power in those regards, we're increasing the cost and removing the self-sustaining portion. We're also trying to give some love back with ultimate gen. I feel like they always go too far, like nerf it by like 10%, and if it's still too strong, then do another 10, you know? That's it for the class changes. Okay. Fair enough. I know we don't like a lot of big changes. I know we don't like that. Right, weapon changes. Destro Staff. Ancient Knowledge. Fixed multiple issues where the Inferno and Lightning Staff components were applying incorrect attack types. Elemental Susceptibility. This morph's secondary effects are now tracked separately rather than being linked to a major breach. This will allow the status effects from the ability to continue when multiple applications are active or when other sources of breach apply and override this. Wall of Elements. All versions of the ability and its morphs will now display a hostile telegraph to enemies. Did it not before? Wall of Frost and its morphs will now apply a minor breach and reduce the movement speed of enemies by 40% for 4 seconds while damaging a chilled target. Ice Warded! Jord, Flurry! Fix an issue where its ability and its morphs would damage and audio impacts appear delayed. Oh my god. They just fixed the audio on it? Okay. Cleave! Fixed an issue where the visuals and sound effects on oh my god. Didn't make them better, huh? Crit Charge. Stampede. Fix an issue where the initial hit of this morph would only guarantee its critical strike against the first target hit rather than all targets hit. Note this guaranteed critical still does not apply the damage over time portion of the blah 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 blah. Okay. Still does not apply to the damage over time portion, which is by design. Okay. Wreck and Blow. This morph now grants major Ooh, Major Berserk on Wrecking Blow. It used to do Empower, right? But that was useless in PvP. Major Berserk. What would you be giving up from Dizzy Swing? The off balance. Templars don't bring anything to the group. They would if they had something. Interesting. I still think Dizzy Swing's the way to go, but that's... Major Berserk ain't anything to turn your nose up at. Right, Mist Form. They changed Mist Form. This ability and its morphs are no longer a toggle ability that reduce your damage taken.
Die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to make.
Viking! How are you, Viking Trash? Thank you for the raid. Welcome in. Hey Lola, hey Tumza, hey Shaytree, hey Zilbor. Welcome in, everyone. Hey, we're talking through the patch notes. I hope you had a good rest of your stream. Thank you for sharing that, Viking Trash. Everybody go drop a follow. Please do it. What do you get up to? Love me some patch notes. Oh, yeah. Mind you, I just found out that my poor Templar isn't getting a buff anytime soon. Give me my old jabs back. Welcome in, everyone. It's your first impression? The Templar thing. Well, the problem I'm currently having is I am primarily a PvP player, but there doesn't seem to be much in the way, because there's a horrible meta in PvP right now where everyone's super tanky and it's not as fun as it could be. And I was maybe hoping for some changes to that, but I don't think we're going to get them. So PvP is still going to have a very tanky meta. Mind you, they have changed Mist Form. Oh, unlucky run. Thank you again for the raid. Welcome in, everyone. My name's Kylabite. I do a lot of Elder Scrolls Online. Loads of Elder Scrolls Online. I do a lot of PvP, but I do loads of other stuff too. But we're currently looking through the patch notes for the PTS that came out this week. And we're on Vampire Mist Form. This ability and its morphs no longer a toggled ability that reduce your damage taken from players or grant crowd control immunity while active. Instead, they now teleport you to the position of your cursor up to a maximum of 15 meters away and reduce your damage taken from the next 3 projectiles by 100% while teleporting. In other words, they figured out how to do the Arcanist teleport and were like, hey, let's make Mist Form that. I'm assuming the Arcanist teleport is going to work in a very similar way. Thank you for the lurk, Viking. Good luck. Have a good one. Thank you again. One of the morphs of Mist Form, I think, will make the tankiness even more of an issue. Or do you reckon? Casting any of these abilities will increase the cost of the ability by 33% for 4 seconds, so you can't spam it. Elusive Mist. This morph now grants major expedition and major evasion for 4 seconds after reappearing. So that's extra movement speed and 20% reduced damage from AoE. And Blood Mist. This morph now causes you to deal damage around you and heal for the damage caused once every 2 seconds over 20 seconds after activating the ability, rather than every second while active. And increase the damage per tick by 9%. Do damage and heal, huh? Oh my god. This skill has been a wild ride for the past 8 years, don't we know it? And while we tried to preserve the original skill as much as we could with the rework, we've run into far too many issues on how the skill was used and how it operated, and its current iteration doesn't have enough use between all gameplay types. While it was widely used skill and could be a lot of fun to play with, it was creating many unhealthy gameplay implications for both PvE and PvP, and was being used in ways that didn't feel very vampiric in nature. I agree. Hey Indoril, how you doing? They've changed Blood Mist. It's more like a teleport gap closer now, as opposed to a toggle on and off. Hope the doctor went good, HP. We've decided to go back to the drawing board to hit on what the original skill was trying to evoke in terms of feel and use. To try and retain the element of slipping into mist and evading attacks, we've shifted the skill into more of a movement-orientated ability rather than a pure utility and defensive one, causing you to slip into mist temporarily to evade projectiles and make a hasty retreat or engage. I think this would be very good on my Templar, actually, instead of... Could you use this in... This won't get rid of snares and immobilizations, will it? I was going to say, instead of Race Against Time, do we have a different skill instead of Race Against Time to use? The morph still focus on the same options as well, whereas Elusive Mist doubles down on the slippery nature of the skill with bonuses and mitigation, while Blood Mist continues to reward those bloodthirsty playstyles with lifesteal. Also beware of those pesky Fighters Guild attackers. They know how to get around all those nasty new tricks. Again, it's a 5 insurance. Oh, sorry, HB. I hope you can get it sorted. So, this is probably the biggest change to a skill they've got this patch, huh? Interesting. It's pretty expensive. It's changed a lot. So, it's like, this is an AoE damage as well, right? Do you get any vampire buffs for having a skill slotted? Don't think you do you? No, you just get like the undeath passive and then sneak passives and recovery nerfs. Yeah, I'd be interested to know how much damage and heal you can get from that. Werewolf! Feeding Frenzy. This synergy now grants minor force and empower, rather than only empower. Well, there you go. You can get some crit damage. Howl of Despair. This morph now allows the caster to self-synergize Feeding Frenzy. There you go. Trap Beast. They changed Trap Beast. Its ability in its morphs now only trigger ability timers after they've hit a target, rather than after placing and after hitting a target. And Sujigorda Concentrated Barrier. Fixed an issue where the shield from this passive could be half of its listed value in some cases. And the support ability Guard. Fixed an issue where this ability in its morphs transferred damage was able to trigger other conditional requirements. Interesting. So that's it for skills, huh? I mean, I was mainly hoping for, like, some nerf to survivability in PvP, but maybe it's just what PvP is these days. Werewolf, there wolf, who wolf, how wolf. Many distance-based item sets such as Zarn or Scourge Harvester will now properly interact with dragons. There you go. Oh wait, yeah, this. Glyph of Physical Harm and Glyph of Spell Harm. These enchantments now grant one nut. Let me try again. These enchantments now grant weapon and spell damage rather than only weapon or spell damage. Physical Harm glyphs now add 10 stamina recovery at all qualities, while Spell Harm glyphs now add 10 magicka recovery. I'm failing to see the point. In aims to continue our work on hybridization, we're merging these enchantments to grant hybrid stats. However, we still want to retain some semblance of differentiation with these glyphs, so we don't need to remove them from existence. This would actually cause a lot more problems than it seems. Really? So we're adding some very small bonuses to each. This bonus will be small enough that you shouldn't feel the need to take one over the other, but if you're really trying to optimize, you can play around with either to get the extra bit of power. What is that helping to hybridize that? Like, what's... Just making it easier to craft them? Because these are the ones you craft and put on your jewelry, right? I mean, fair enough, but... bit just I guess you just get a 10 extra recovery now when you've when you've got one. Or if you got 3 damage, you get 30 recovery, I guess. Bloodthirsty. This trait now grants 210 to 350 weapon and spell damage against enemies under 90% health, up from 70 to 350. This will cause the trait to reach the same final results as before, but with less of a power gap between the lowest and highest quality. And they changed Harmony. Harmony gives you 800 health, magicka, and stamina back when you activate a synergy, rather than increasing the damage, healing, and shielding potency of the synergies. So Harmony is now a sustain trait, basically, whenever you activate a synergy. Crimson Oath. This set now only fires when you meet its conditions while in combat. And they fixed Iron Blood. What else did they fix? They fixed Lady Maligda. Did not fix how easy it is to butcher the pronunciation. Blah blah blah. I can't talk. I've been talking too long. Interesting. Thornlock cladding. The effects become stark. Is this it? Have we hit it? It was not activating off of the minor resolve. I noticed that. I tried that set out and I was like, why is Vigor not proccing 7th Legion? And there you go. Now it does. Interesting. And then they fixed some quests, folks. And they fixed some antiquities. Well, what can I say? In conclusion, in summary, I feel like, from a PvPer's perspective, I feel like not much is going to change. We're still going to be in this super tanky meta. I kind of wish something would get changed about that, but I kind of feel like no proper PvP changes are going to come until after the new servers are in, which we found out have been delayed till April. So beginning of April, new servers, and then White Strikes Mayhem will probably happen. And then, does that mean we can expect some PvP changes with Necrom releasing in June? Because that's the next patch afterwards, right? If not, it will be during all of the Q3 changes and bug fixes and updates like that. Well, there we go. We got some more sets, which is exciting. We got to try out some of those, make some wacky builds. Poor Templar. I still can't get a Templar working unless I go full meta. Yeah, so I think the best PvP classes are still going to be Dragon Knight and Warden. Dragon Knight got a buff. Dragon Knight can now get Major Berserk for 10 seconds. How come that is 10 seconds, but then Wrecking Blow only gets 5 seconds, huh? Like, that's a long time to have Major Berserk for as well. Goddamn. Well, there you go, guys. Thank you for watching my PTS rundown.